Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Swissman15 and welcome back to another famous battle. This battle, and please excuse all my attempts to say any Arabic names in this video. I am English speaking, I'm from America, and I will try to do my best, but I am not Arabic. And I know people get all wrapped up and annoyed by pronunciation, and even I do that sometimes, admittedly. And we really shouldn't, because at least we're trying to, and I'm really going to try to say these right. But anyway, this is the Battle of Walaja. That is probably so wrong, but I'm going to go with it. Walaja is the easiest to say, or Walaja, I don't know. And that occurred in 633 CE, or AD for people who still use that measurement, but CE, it's the exact same thing, it's just a change of the name, because apparently that's significant. Anyway, it's between Khalid ibn al-Walid versus Andarzaghar. Andarzaghar. That's actually a cool name if I'm saying it right. Probably not, but anyway, let's go straight into the battle and you can start seeing why it's a pretty good battle. And I'm pretty sure one of you subscribers recommended it, so thank you very much. Alright, so we have Khalid ibn al-Walid. He's from the Muslim, well, at that point, growing empire starting after Muhammad started the whole Islam, and then they started growing. It's the first caliphate. He's the general for the first caliph, Abu Bakr. I think that's how you say Bakr or something like that. Please don't mock my pronunciation. And anyway, they're fighting the Sassanid Empire, the Persians really, under the general Andarzaghar. Previously, the Muslims had beaten them in a series of battles, I think 2 of them actually, and now the Persians were raising 2 new armies. The Muslims wanted to beat these 2 armies, beat one of these armies before they could meet up, because they were much larger. As you could see, one's 30,000 and the Muslim army is 15,000, and they can't certainly beat something that's like, I don't know, 60,000. So they're trying to avoid that by taking on one army before the other one can reach it. So that's their general strategy, and ends up being around Walaja, a place. Really, it's pretty much around the desert, between the Middle East and Persia, or in the Middle East and Persia, really. So, anyway, Khalid, as I will be calling him instead of saying his full name, had 15,000 troops, 2 legions of light cavalry, and then pretty much all of the troops were lightly armed, of course. They were basically hailing from the nomads of the Arabic Peninsula, and other mercenaries also. And then we have Andarzaghar, who is the general of the Sassanid army with 30,000 troops, only 1 legion of heavy cavalry, though, and heavy cavalry, mark you. And a lot of these troops are experienced and well equipped. Some of them are returners from the lost 2 previous battles, hoping to finally get their victory that they will deserve. And I know that that picture is not Andarzaghar, but I couldn't find one. I'm not even sure this one's Khalid. I really don't take much time in the pictures, but, probably no one really knows what they look like anyway. So let's go on to survey what the battlefield actually looked like. Okay. Wow, it was green. Not really. Probably more beigeish because it was in the desert. But anyway, this is a crude drawing. Of course, all my drawings are crude. This is just to show you really what happened in the battle. And what these black lines are, if you don't know, they're not birds. They are actually supposed to be hills or ridges, cliffs. Basically, that come important later in the battle. So basically, the 2 armies, and well, one army catches up to the other, and they are in this little valley here between the 2 ridges, really. And the Muslims want to start a fight, and of course, this is the general layout. So basically, you have a Muslim line right down here of their main infantry, and then you have all the Sassanid forces plus their legion of heavy cavalry. They are stacked back because the strategy of the Sassanid general Andarzaghar is to basically tire out the Muslim forces and then use his reserves to come in and sweep through. And that's valid enough for using his force to advantage. He's got the ridge at the back. He thinks he's safe. And that's the general idea, is just, tire them out and then come in for the kill, and maybe do some flanking with the heavy cavalry for the time, but it's pretty general, straightforward. Khalid, on the other hand, decides to put his light cavalry, right behind the ridge where the Sassanids don't even know they're there, and just leaves them there and has a certain signal planned for them to charge. And then he brings the rest of his forces up to face them on the opposite direction, behind the other ridge, which makes it look like they're taking a semi-defensive position. And then the battle starts to come along when you get to this point where you have the first line of the Sassanids start engaging the Islamic troops, the Muslim army under Khalid, and For a long time, Khalid is fighting on the front lines and everything, and he's with his troops. It's just really a grind fight at this point, not really any maneuvering happening. All these other troops are sitting back in reserve. There's actually a folktale basically saying that Khalid himself fought like one of the giant Persian warriors and then ended up slaying him after a long duel, and it was supposed to be a morale victory. I don't know how valid that is, because it could be easily made up and skewed over history, but usually a lot of things come from some sort of truth, so he might have at least fought someone who was really powerful, or someone who looked powerful that gave the other troops morale. In some way, at least, he probably gave them morale, which is really important when you're fighting a massive army and you don't want some of your troops routing to make your odds even worse. So anyway, that's what happened. So basically you have a grind fight going on, and Andarzaghar is just like, alright, this is good, this is fine. Didn't really probably think where the cav was, probably didn't even care, probably couldn't even see based on the numbers and then just the size of the battle. It's really hard to tell. Anyway, so he's getting confident, so Andarzaghar sends in some of his reserves into the front, and then, as ordered, Khalid's troops are supposed to hold their line, except the middle ones are supposed to drop back. This is similar to other battles in history. I'm pretty sure Hannibal actually employed this strategy in another battle. Maybe it was the Battle of Cannae. I'll probably get to it eventually. It was one of Hannibal's 3 good victories, or 3, like, historic victories against the Romans. Anyway, so they're forming back, and they're forming a nice crescent shape, and Andarzaghar takes this as, oh my god, I'm winning. So, you know what, as any reasonable man, he's like, okay, time to push through and break them through. So what he does, he sends the last of his reserves up, and they're all fighting the front lines, and then he sends his cav around to start heading for a flank. It's heavy cav and it's slow. At this point, Khalid sends a signal. I don't even know what the signal was. I don't even know how it worked. Don't ask me. But the signal to the light cavalry, which then starts charging. And since it's light cavalry and so well probably experienced at this point after fighting so many battles, they charge in and they come in fast and hard into the backs of the Sassanid army, more or less. And I think they come in more heavily to one side to get the flank. It's not said in all my sources, which ranges from Wikipedia to other random websites. But, you know, when you can't go for quality, go for quantity. So anyway, they charge in the back here, and then the heavy cavalry is going to start chasing them. Basically what happens is that this side gets hit and starts to rout because, you know, they're getting attacked from the other side. And they're like, oh my god, and, you know, you die faster when you're surrounded. So Andarzaghar starts to surround by saying, hey, okay, we'll send our heavy cavalry over there, and the Muslim cavalry's like, nope, we're going to run away. And basically that's what they do. You see by the arrows, they come, and the other arrows are like, oh, we're actually going this way. And the heavy cavalry cannot keep up. So then you get to the next phase where, oh, look at this. You got the routers going over that way. Forget about them. Nobody really cares. This side pretty much breaks. Anyway, then you have the cavalry, which is over here trying to catch up. Oh, whoops, you missed. And now the light cavalry comes in for the other side to do another, and they're just doing cycle charges like this. Of course, this is very simplified, but they're actually doing like probably 10, 20 different cycle charges just like this before actually you get a full break. They probably got like 3 charges before the heavy cav could even get over, and now they're going over the other side. Now the heavy cav's here trying to stay out of their hair and avoid that fight completely. And then you have the other side start to rout, of course, and before you know it, the center will break. And then before this all happens, though, the light cavalry does engage the heavy cavalry a little bit, but they can so outmaneuver the heavy cavalry that they quickly start to fall apart in their ranks, and they're losing the fight even though they have superior gear and training. So finally, what you get is that, oh, Khalid wins because he completely came in with the light cavalry from behind, which completely messed up the infantry line, even though superior to the Muslim infantry was not ready and capable to take on such a random and fast, repetitive charge sequence that really disturbed their ranks, caused routs and fear, and it was really good. Just general the idea, and I'll get on to what I think is most important about this after I give you the results, so just bear with me here. So Khalid, his army takes 2,000 to 4,000 losses, somewhere in between there. Estimates probably around 3,000 dead, which is pretty good considering he had 15,000, so it's only 1/5 of his army dead. And then he, as a consequence, he moves on to win another battle, the Battle of Walaja, with his army, and then that pretty much leads to the defeat of the Sassanids completely against the Muslim forces. Andarzaghar takes 20,000 losses, which is, 2 out of 3 men dead. Other ones flee and disband, others flee with him. He himself flees, what a coward, And pretty much Mesopotamia is lost by him at this point because they don't have enough time to gain control. And later it's completely officialized with the Battle of Ulaysir, or Ulay, or Ula. I don't know how to say it. It's Arabic and stuff. Anyway, so what I think is most important about this battle, if you don't know, is, Khalid wins, hey, but what is most notable about his victory is that when he's in this tough situation where he's completely outclassed and outnumbered in troops count for the main body of infantry and everything, and what he does is he waits with his main trump card, which is the heavy cavalry, wait until he can actually get the maximum benefit, which is kind of risky and kind of scary because, when you have inferior infantry with inferior numbers, well, waiting could mean you die before they can actually act. But he was patient, and he waited and tried to lure the Persians into coming in and committing all their forces. So when all their forces are committed, they're ready and they're ripe to be not manipulated, I'm sorry, but taken advantage of and completely thrown off guard, which the light cavalry comes to do in the nick of time, which then wins them the battle. Now, what I want you to take from this is when you have a good idea in a battle, not necessarily to implement it all the way, but wait or think of a time where it's probably going to be the most effective to use. Of course, a lot of times, say you're like playing a medieval total war or something, you don't have as much time as you would hope, especially since it's much faster than any actual battle would ever go, because it takes a long time to kill people with swords and axes and crap. But it's the idea of just, when you see something, be like, okay, how can I wait or use this to make the payoff in the end greater? So it's, I guess, a story about patience, but I know it's all, patience is a virtue. I hit my microphone there. But patience is a virtue. Virtue. Patience is a virtue. I'm going to say that like 10 more times. Patience is a virtue. But, okay, it's a little bit cliche and everything, but and to some extent it is correct. In other cases, you want to be being a bit rash, but when you have a certain idea where it's you need every move you make to really count and really pack a punch, that's when waiting for the opportune moment really helps. And this is what Khalid did, despite the odds and the risk of not doing so quickly or using his troops all at the same time, because he might lose his ranks. Well, when you're in that bad of a situation, you kind of have to take some risk, and waiting for the opportune moment is certainly worthwhile. So that's what I hope you guys take from it. If you take anything else, please share it. If you want any other battles to be discussed, please bring them to me, and I will do my best to relay what actually happened, and hopefully not any fake tales and such. And I thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Goodbye, my friends.